Jeff Maura KOINANGE was born on January 7, 1966, into a family whose name is woven into Kenya's modern story.
As Jeff said, I was married in 1959 on December 12th. Unfortunately, my husband died on 7th March 1966 when Jeff was only 2 months and the only son, the last born. I had 3 other children. Shiro was 4+. Koi was 2+. KOINANGE, my first son, was 1+. It was very, very difficult. I was only 28. But I thank God that I have survived. It wasn't easy, but we have survived.
He grew up in Nairobi, the grandson of KOINANGE Wambiu, and he carried with him from childhood the quiet urgency of a boy who lost his father while still young. That absence shaped him. He learned early that voice and presence mattered, and he set out to make his own mark with words and questions.
I'm Jeff KOINANGE. Welcome to Rwanda Television News. And in case you think you've switched to Citizen Television, don't panic. This is RTV, and yes, I'm the guest anchor.
Jeff went to school in Nairobi. He attended Hospital Hill for his early years and later St. Mary's School for his secondary education. Those classrooms taught him how to read a world larger than his immediate neighborhood. They taught him to listen to conversations and to notice the people whose lives were rarely recorded.
And then he decided to come home back in 1946.
The Jomo Kenyatta.
Yes. And he was met in Mombasa by a huge crowd.
Oh, they came by ship?
Yes, that's the only way you could go. Travel. It was by ship.
So they docked in Mombasa?
Yeah. And the chief saw this man had so much charisma, so much razzmatazz. He said, this guy could...
Bravado.
Yeah, this guy could be our face. The face of the Mau Mau. So he gave him his daughter as his third wife.
Guy, senior chief, your grandfather
Yes.
gave out
His daughter
too
Nzejo
as
his third wife.
And the name of the daughter
was Grace Metondo.
Metondo.
Yeah.
Oh, huh?
Yeah. So
you're getting there.
You get it?
Yeah.
So she gave birth to a daughter, but then she died soon after childbirth.
The mother died?
Yes. But the daughter lived.
Yeah.
His curiosity about other people's stories pulled him towards journalism. In the late 1980s, Jeff moved to the United States to study broadcast journalism. He enrolled at Kingsborough Community College in Brooklyn and later completed his degree at New York University.
I got to tell you something real quick. When I was walking down the processional line earlier on, I saw people were clapping, cheering, others clicking away at their cameras. A couple of people pointed out in my direction. They said, hey, that's the CNN guy. Yeah, that's him. And I said, no, that's not him. Yeah, that's him. So in order to dispel any doubts, folks, those of you who watch CNN, you know these 3 magic letters. I'll say it once, I won't say it again. This is CNN.
New York sharpened him. The city's newsrooms taught him speed, discipline, and an appetite for stories that travel. He learned technical craft, how to structure an interview, and how to stand steady while the world around him moved fast. His career rose quickly. Jeff worked in American television newsrooms and for international agencies. He joined Reuters Television and then became a familiar Africa correspondent at CNN.
This year alone, both flour and fruit exports are expected to exceed over 75,000 tons. That's 2.5 jumbo jet loads. Sounds crazy? That's exactly what most people thought at the time, but he persevered, and today...
In 1989, the hope is that with the new administration in place, years, maybe decades before life ever returns to normal here in Freetown, Sierra Leone, Jeff KOINANGE, Reuters Television, for SABC. About 4 kilometers out that way at sea lies the wreckage of Kenya Airways flight KQ431,
which crashed soon after takeoff barely 24 hours ago. Too much for Patrick Njiru's group and car.
He reported from conflicts and famines, from capitals and frontline towns, bringing images and testimony from the continent to global audiences. His style, direct, probing, never satisfied with easy answers, made him a name people recognized and a voice people trusted to press for facts.
To ask you this, just for the record, Mr. President, I've been wanting to ask you this for many years. That hat, does it leave your head?
It leaves my head. Why not?
When do you take it off?
When even I'm sitting with the people, I take it off.
I've never seen it leave your head.
No. You might have not seen me at the right time.
Jeff's private life moved alongside his public work. In New York, he married his first wife, Sonia, who worked as a flight attendant. Their marriage lasted several years. Time and distance took their toll. He was building a career and she worked on schedules that kept her away, and the two drifted apart. They separated with respect rather than rancor. Jeff remembers that chapter with gratitude for what it taught him and with a quiet acceptance that life sometimes diverged. Back in the field, Jeff's assignments grew tougher and more consequential. While covering the Niger Delta and other volatile beats, he pushed for access and images that brought home the scale of suffering and the stakes of conflict. The pursuit of access can demand difficult choices. An episode in the mid-2000s became a turning point in his international career and marked the end of his time at CNN. He left international posting work and redirected his energies toward African newsrooms and toward rebuilding a public life back home. Jeff returned to work across African media, and eventually he returned to Kenyan television, where he reinvented himself for local audiences. He anchored and produced programs that combined hard questions with the human, everyday stories that resonate on the ground. In 2017, he launched a primetime talk show that became his defining homecoming, a program that mixed interviews, human interest features, and national conversation, and that re-established him as one of Kenya's most watched broadcasters. The most private of Jeff's struggles became by his choice, something he shared to help others. He married his second wife, Shayla, and together they endured nearly a decade of failed attempts to have children. The pain and shame that often surrounded infertility weighed on them. They tried clinics and opinions. They faced disappointment after disappointment. A friend, Jimmy Monclas Maleketa, someone they met while in Lagos, gave them a lifeline. He recommended a reputable fertility clinic in Barcelona. Jeff and Shayla went to Barcelona, underwent in vitro fertilization, and succeeded. Their son, Jamal Mbeyu KOINANGE, was born on July 31, 2007. Jeff speaks of that period, now not for the private sympathy, but to demystify infertility and to say plainly that persistence, a good advice, and medical help can change a family story. Jeff wrote about these experiences in his book, Through My African Eyes. In that book and in public appearances, he reflects honestly about the cost of a public life, the loss of privacy, the compromises of access journalism, and the unexpected kindness of friends. He has used his profile to support philanthropic work, including literacy and library projects in Nairobi, and to mentor younger journalists who want to tell African stories to wider audiences. Throughout his career, Jeff has provoked admiration and critique in equal measure. He took African stories to international plates and insisted that those stories be seen in full. He also pushed the limits of access and spectacle in ways that provoked debate about the responsibilities of journalists. Those tensions between access and ethics, between storytelling and sensationalism, follow his career like a shadow, forcing hard questions about how best to show the world to itself. Jeff KOINANGE's life is a map of movement, from Nairobi classrooms to New York newsrooms, from conflict zones back to family rooms, from private struggle to public conversation. He built a voice that has mattered to many Kenyans. He survived losses that might have silenced others. He turned a friend's timely advice into a son, and he turned hard lessons into questions he continues to ask on air and in print.